Let the dragon consume you! Enemy sighted. Stop the payload! Stop the payload! In 5, 4, 3, 2,
and we're back. Welcome to episode 63 of the Bird Watchers. I'm your host Ryan, and this episode we're talking about the 2019 Overwatch Shanghai Invitational Finals. So what's up? I'm back. Yeah, man, I want Overwatch League to be back. You know, finally we've had an event that's, reminiscent of that standard play of Overwatch. We have actual teams playing each other in this invitational. There has been some pro pugs going on, and I kind of thought about trying to cover some of those, but they were so frequent, and I was trying to figure out like who was playing in what. And there, although there are former pros, there are contenders players, there are actual pros that are playing in those pro pugs. There's not really straightforward strategies. I don't think there was much to cover there. Although I'm happy it's happening. I wish that patch that everybody's waiting for would just come out already. There's plenty of rumors and speculations and leaks going on right now that has Reddit on fire, but that's nothing new. Blizzard's speed when it comes to releasing patches is always in question. But that aside, the Shanghai Invitational happened recently, and that's what we're going to end up talking about. So I know the episodes have been a little more scattered than usual. That's just holidays, right? I've been doing the vacation thing, the family thing, bouncing around. And then as usual, there's not as many games. But, I kind of am questioning where Season 3 contenders went. I think it's a case with the gauntlet this year and how they handled this year's schedule. I mean, we're most likely not getting one since the leaks that have come out have been related to Season 1 of 2020. So I know that, Overwatch and Blizzard experiments greatly with the scheduling, as we can tell by like next year how teams will be playing on the weekends now and the traveling's happening. So it could be we're not getting a Season 3. So, that's unfortunate. Less games to watch, but we did get this. So let's talk about what was the Shanghai Masters Invitational here. So essentially it took place in Shanghai. And 4 teams were invited, the 4 Chinese teams of the league. So that's the Dragons, Hunters, Charge, and Spark. And then they put them in this mini bracket to play against each other in the current patch with their current rosters. So we got to see a couple of the new pickups show their stuff here inside this. Obviously they haven't been with the team long since signings just kind of ended. And I think there's an off season where you can still pick up people. But the official big signings have been done before the season begins. So this is cool to kind of see, okay, well, how is Fleta going to function on his new team kind of thing, right? And get a little glimpse. It's for fans, right? It's just an invitational. So it's cool that Blizzard's allowing this to happen because I know they're super strict with allowing these side tournaments and they have to go jump through hoops to get them done. So it's cool we have this. So the bracket we started out with here was you immediately start with semifinals, right? You only have 4 teams participating. And we started with the Spark versus Dragons and then Hunters versus Charge. In the semifinals, you had Dragons beating out Spark 3-0 and then the Hunters beating out Charge 3-0. And then we go to our finals, which is best of 7 between the Dragons and Hunters. So that's what we're going to get into now and just kind of talk about how that match went. So starting off with the new players that have joined these teams, right? So Dragons picked up Envy, Izayaki, Fleta, Lip, or LIP. I'm not sure. I'm going to call him Lip. Void, Stand 1, which we know Stand 1 is a grinder from Contenders, and Lee Jae-gong. And then we have for the Hunters only 2 new players, which is Jakirin and Leave. Finally, Leave is in the league. I think a lot of that had to do with age because he just turned 18. And this game is played on the Shield meta patch. So we don't have the new patch, which would have been cool to have the debut of some teams playing on that. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. So we started with control as usual, and this is first to 7, once again. So first team to win 4 takes it. So we start with Lijiang Tower. And Dragons look good here, right? We're on command center. Hunters do get initial control, and Leave starts going off from the get-go. We get to see him on Reaper here, and it's kind of expected. He's a great player, and it's great to finally see him in the league. Dragons are able to flip the point and hold out due to great team effort just all around. So Leave is doing great. A couple other people are doing great on the Hunters, but the whole Dragons team is just playing very coordinated, and they're making some good plays here. And it shows, it allows them to take this round. This takes us to Gardens next. And Dragons essentially in complete control from beginning here. Hunters do put up a fight for about 60% of the point, but this round ends up going in the Dragons' favor. So Dragons take this map and start off the series 1-0. This takes us to Hanamura next. And this is a long one. So we start with Hunters on attack. Hunters start with Doomfist Reaper, that DPS combo, which leads to some quick kills and a fast point 1. They keep that momentum to point 2 and quickly cap with about 4:35 remaining on the clock. So good performance there. And then we go to Dragons on attack. And Dragons go next, and they have an equally impressive attempt, finishing both points with 11 more seconds on the clock than the Hunters. So Hunters did well, and then Dragons did great. So this takes us to round 2 on Hanamura, which isn't surprising on this map. Hunters have less time, so they attack first, and they face the challenges on point 1 on both points, which results in them capping both points with only about they have 0 time remaining on the clock, but they do get both points capped. There's an extended spectator view of Leave on Tracer on this second point, which I suggest you go watch because it's insane. It's an encounter that takes close to about a full minute of just back and forth and the spawns coming through, and watching his decision making and him playing Tracer and his movement and the accuracy and all of it is very impressive to see. We know his hero pool is huge, but to see him play these different heroes in different styles is kind of cool as well. It reminds me of when the first time I kind of sat down and watched Sinatra play Doomfist, because it's sort of different from any other Doomfist you've seen in the league. He's very methodical, and to see these long drawn out spectator views of it is a cool viewpoint to see a character be played. So check that out. Dragons go next, and they cap both points with plenty of time for a round 3 attempt. So once again, Dragons just outdoing Hunters here. So in round 3, Dragons are the only ones that get the attempt because they have time. Hunters do not, and they eventually are able to win the main fight and cap point 1 and take the map. This is my match of the map, or my map of the match. I got that mixed up. And Dragons are 2-0 now in this series. So this takes us to Hollywood. And it kind of dies down here. It's not like from this point forward, it's not as exciting. We do get Fleta subbing in for Ding here, which is cool because we finally get to see Fleta on the Dragons and see how this plays out. And Dragons have a full roster now, so that's something new and they're all dangerous. Like it's a lot of good players, now. So it's good to see them kind of that big turnaround. We know how they started off in season 1. But yeah, Hunters start on attack here on Hollywood. Hunters make it through point 1 and 2 in standard time, but Dragons kind of put their foot down on point 3 and prevent them from full capping. They get close, but no dice. And then Dragons go on attack next, and they kind of cruise through all points without much trouble. And this results in a full cap and a 3-0, so far in the series, and takes them the match point, which is Route 66. So now we have DM coming in for Lip, and Hunters starting on attack. So Hunters start on attack. We get to see some dive as Hunters start off with Hammond, Diva, Tracer, Genji, Lucio, Moira. So we get to see Genji, right? He's kind of been ghost due to the meta over the year. And one thing I can say about this match is this is my second map of the match. I got it right that time. Mainly because of all the comps we get to see here. So we get to see this dive comp here. After quick point 1, both teams end up going Sombra dive. So they make a little bit of a switch. And it's hectic from this point forward because I don't know if you've ever watched, if you've only been listening this year or watching games this year, you didn't get to see much dive, right? So when you have two teams diving each other, it's a lot of engaging and disengaging. And if, the teams are able to draw these fights out, you get very extended, hectic looking fights because everyone's trying to get a pick on each other, but you're using the same strategy. So the fights get real drawn out. Both teams are continuously doing this, engaging and disengaging to try to get these picks. The Hunters do get super close to 0.3, but they can't cap once again. So this is, reminiscent of Hollywood. And then Dragons go on attack, and we get to see double sniper from both teams. And, this is a fun match to watch because of this. These comps we didn't get to see much of during the season. And Leave can play anything, right? But Diem's Widow is well known. We know the Carpe Diem, that combination and that Widow battle and all. Yeah, legendary Widows, essentially, so far in the league. So, his Widow is a known quantity. So he's able to get on fire and able to take control of those sight lines, which leads Dragons to capping 0.1. And then Hunters decide to swap back to that somber dive to try to disrupt Diem's Widow. But he swaps to Reaper and continues that rampage. The Dragons then maintain control of this map from that point forward, and they full cap and they take the whole match 4-0. So that's it. It's pretty quick. Dragons very dominant. They look very strong. Naturally, we haven't got to see a lot of other teams play yet with their new full rosters, but Dragons look promising here for next season. They have a lot of tools to work with, so it's up to them to use them to the best of their abilities. Leave. That dude, it's great to see him here because his character pool is massive, and most of them are very dangerous. Like like I said, go back and watch it. Even though I kind of gave you a brief overview, go back and watch it because it's fun to watch. The spectators do spend a lot of time on him. He's definitely the focal point of this invitational to see how he's adjusting, and it's just like night and day. It's like drinking water to him. So pretty much after that. Two things I want to kind of mention are the overall performance. Like I said, Dragons look great. Hunters didn't pick up many players yet. Maybe they have some slated to come on. I know they're one of the teams that have the most flexible players, so they can put a lot of their current roster on different things. A Leave is a huge pickup, so now you have something to go with Jinmu. They were playing around a lot with pairing Jinmu with other DPS last year. They were struggling, so now they have that fit. So that's cool to see. Another thing I want to talk about is the Chinese production value. Probably no surprise, very well done, and kind of setting a bar for other teams as these homestands start. I'm kind of confident that most teams will have a baseline of production. I can't help but be cynical that there will be a Reddit post that's following all the different homestands and ranking. There'll be power rankings of best homestands. You know what? I should probably do that. I might do that. That's a good idea. But yeah, so the production value is cool to see teams kind of give it their all. And I do know, and I have heard that Blizzard is a stickler for high production value. They're not letting, teams get away with, hey, show up to some dude's apartment and we'll plug in and everybody can watch it on the TV while they play on laptops. Like that's not gonna work. There's gonna be a baseline. If you don't meet that baseline, there'll probably like fines or such. You know how organizations can get. But outside of that, I want to say that the podcast is now also available on Google Play. So if that's somewhere you rather listen to it, it took me a while to get it on there. I don't know why. I have no excuses there. But now it's there. So we have most places. And I think I did also mention that it's on Deezer as well, which is more popular in Europe. But as always, you can reach me at Gmail at thebirdwatcherspodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at podcasttbw. That's where I'm active. Reddit, The Birdwatchers Podcast. You'll see me posting there. And on YouTube, if that's how you prefer to listen to it, you can listen to it there if you have premium. The Birdwatchers. So as usual, subscribe, tell one friend about the podcast if they want to get into, more competitive play in the competitive scene and understand it more, or just, leave a review. One sentence is all that matters, that will give me a great idea of what you guys think. That's great feedback. But outside of that, as usual, thank you for listening, and I will catch you all in a little bit. Bye.
I have destroyed more of your kind than I can count.